Welcome back, Just Baseball Media fans. We're here with the College Baseball Show and another episode of our Coach's Corner. I'm joined today by Coach Justin Haire from the Ohio State University. Excited to have Coach back on the program. How are we doing this morning, Coach?
Doing great, man. Doing great. Everything's fantastic here in Columbus, man. How are you?
Doing good, man. It's a little cold up here in the mountains, but I'm loving it. It's great. It's still good. I'm still gonna go golfing this weekend, so as long as it stays the rain away, I'm good. I still got college baseball to watch and golf on the side, so I'm good. I got this going.
Let's go, man. Living the life. Living the life.
Speaking of college baseball, that's what we're here for today. Scarlet and Gray games just ended. You guys just had your World Series. A lot of fun there. Looked like those guys were super competitive. I know I already talked earlier with Henry and Dane, and they were excited about it, the competition level. You want to speak a little bit about just the fall ball and how you guys have been pretty competitive this offseason?
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun with these guys. Just finished up like our 6-week kind of session of team practice and Scarlet and Gray World Series this past week. We went walk off in game 1. We went extra inning, tiebreaker in game 2, and then we went a 7-inning shutout in game 3. So it was super competitive, man, and a lot of spirit, a lot of energy, really good turnout from families and fans and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, man, just a ton of fun, and this group of guys has been really fun to work with. We've been going at it 9 full weeks, between individuals and team practice, and just like their commitment level and want to get better and drive to improve and get pushed and get coached has been really, really fun. So it's been a great group so far, and certainly making some strides in the right direction.
Absolutely. I mean, it looked like terrific turnout from fans and families and want to be there and be a part of this thing. I know year 2, it's got to be exciting, Coach. You're going there, you're looking at all this stuff that is starting to build up that program, getting it back to where Ohio State was great here. I mean, when you look around, what's the biggest things you want to see from changes of year 1 into year 2 here, both on the field and off the field?
Yeah, I mean, I think I think on the field is just trying to get back to the heart of the foundation of this program, right? I think we did the numbers from like 92 to 09, those 17 or 18 seasons. Ohio State baseball won 15 Big Ten championships, whether that be tournament or regular season. In an 18-year period, they went to 15 NCAA tournaments, a couple of super regionals. Was one win away from going to the College World Series. In 99 or 03 or whatever. And, there was some really dominant years, in that 2-decade period. And so you try to dissect, hey, the game's changed. College athletics has changed. It's changed a lot in those 15, 16, 17 years. But, what are some of the foundational, the timeless pieces? And so for us on the field, it's getting back to being blue collar. It's getting back to playing with a little bit of edge, with a little bit of chip on our shoulder. It's getting back to earning our opportunities every single day. I think driving out entitlement and bringing in a lot of humility, a lot of guys that come from blue collar backgrounds and are super competitive, and that are going to play with a little bit of edge, a little bit of attitude, and a little bit of chip on their shoulder. Is really the direction that we wanted to head. And I think our staff did a great job of identifying, evaluating, and committing those guys to be here. We got 24 new guys on the field. And so really addressed a lot of that, a lot of those pieces just from a philosophical and cultural standpoint. And then I think off the field, it's just such a great time to be here at Ohio State because new athletic director Ross Bjork, he was at Texas A&M and Ole Miss before here at Ohio State, and so has seen it done at a really, really high level, and is a big baseball fan, and so a lot of alignment and pieces that are going to help us be able to move our program forward from a department-wide standpoint, and some facility upgrades that are needed, right? New video board, new chairback seats, some new premium seating coming in, about $2 million worth of upgrades coming from the administrative side, that's not private money. That's things that, haven't been done over the last 25 years that needed done around our facility. Now we've got a $30 million enhancement plan that we will fundraise for, right? And we will be able to kind of phase that out over the next five or 6 years. But just having alignment with the administration and having their support to be able to push this thing forward has been really exciting over the last 6, 8, 10 months.
Speaking of the athletic department, lots of success at Ohio State. There's been lots of success in team sports and Olympic sports. Do you lean on any of those coaches? Do you guys talk about stuff like, how do we get to that next level for every athletic event that we have?
Yeah. It's, the people here are unbelievable. Being able to connect with a lot of really high level coaches. I was just telling my wife that the other day, being around guys like Tom Ryan, the head wrestling coach, that guy's in the Ohio State Hall of Fame and he's still the current head coach, right? Like they won the national championship in 2015 as a team for the first time in school history. They've been runner up like 4 or 5 other times. Like they're a perennial top 10 program. Jake Diebler, the men's basketball coach is a really good friend of mine. And a lot of other coaches, the men's and women's soccer coaches. There's just so many high level people here, and we've got a great coach group, and we really communicate well with each other and are able to lean on each other, bounce ideas off of each other, get creative, right? Like, cause we're trying to get creative in the NIL space, in the revenue sharing space, in the fundraising space, in the recruiting space, and in the data collection and strategy space. Like all of these spaces that Ohio State is an industry leader in, we are constantly trying to push the level. And so having big brains that are a lot smarter than me, that have been around it a lot longer than me, for me to ask a bunch of dumb questions too, helps me get smarter and helps our program move forward. So we're fortunate to have that group of people here, and they truly care about Ohio State, through and through. And so, man, they have been generous with their time and talents and information.
I love that. And it really does seem like the other athletes from other sports, you guys support each other. You guys go to events. You guys really encourage your guys to go out there and be a part of the school and be a part of what Ohio State's about. I love to see that from programs, not being just segregated to themselves. It's great. And I'm sure it helps out the guys too, and all the athletics, just to being out there and going out there and support each other and knowing that you have each other's backs. Especially in today's day where NIL and everything's all individualized. But if you get to do it as a group and say, hey, we're Ohio State, this is what we are, that's got to feel pretty good, Coach.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. Again, like I think, and we tell recruits this all the time, and it's really true, and kind of works itself out. It's a school of 65,000 students, and so, how do you shrink down the campus for your guys and for your team? Because, I don't want our guys to get lost in the shuffle. I don't want them to be just another number or another student. I want moms and dads to feel comfortable to be able to send their young men to our program where they can grow and get better. And our department and the planning that has gone into, what the athletic campus here on campus is, we've got a great, about 400 yards from here is the Shoemaker Complex. And that's kind of like the central hub for Olympic sports. It's right next to the Woody Hayes Athletic Complex, which is where football operations is. And so it's kind of the hub for, it's got the student athlete dining hall in there. It's got the main weight room in there. I would say probably 10 to 15 Olympic sports kind of operate out of there in any, way, shape, or form. Athletic training room, dining hall, like I said, weight room, team meeting space, all of that stuff. And so like our guys end up interacting with the other 800 or 900 student athletes that are here and kind of create their own small school feel within this bigger place that has endless resources. And so it becomes really, really fun because that's who they end up hanging out with and dating and being around and going to other events and doing that stuff with all these other student athletes. And so it really brings a sense of a smaller community in a big city atmosphere, which has been great for our guys. It's been great for us as a staff. And it's been great on the recruiting side because you can really start to shrink down a large campus and make guys feel at home.
I love that. And, greatness breeds greatness. So when you're around other guys and gals that are doing tremendous things at the Ohio State University, it's got to build up a lot of confidence for those young men. So I love it. Speaking of recruiting, coach, talking about the 34-man roster, I know we talked about it a little bit last year. Now it's, official December 1st. Has that changed the way you guys outlook? I mean, I know you guys have always kind of had the plan of who you want and getting after the guys you guys want. Does that kind of stay the same for you guys, or does that really change much for you?
No, I mean, I think for us, we've never been a staff or want to be a program that has 50 or 60 guys here in the fall. It's not a tryout camp, right? Like we kind of want to know within a degree or two of, hey, this is the group of guys that we're going to battle with every day. And so we try to do a really good job on the front end on the recruiting side of making sure like these guys are the right fit. A lot of people want to come to Ohio State, and that's great. Like that, like we get guys to pick up the phone that maybe we haven't been able to do in years past. And now those guys are picking up the phone, which is awesome, but we still have to go through the vetting process and make sure that man, we feel really good about the guys that we have in the locker room and get creative with the roster and make sure that we're signing the right guys. Cause we don't want to walk out there and we got a bunch of guys that are all 2 or 3 years away from being great. We see it in every corner of college athletics right now. That patience piece gets shorter and shorter every year, and that's true of us too, right? And so continue to develop that model and continue to balance in-state, out-of-state, making sure that we're doing a great job with the state of Ohio and the guys in the state, and keeping more of the great players here in our state has been really important to us. And then balancing that high school and junior college, and then being able to kind of pick and choose in the portal and not having to rely on that has kind of been our MO and will continue to be our MO, I think, here at Ohio State.
Yeah, coach, with the roster size, do you think that there's a premium put on some two-way players? I know that some of these guys have been showing up all over campuses, and it's, they end up usually going one way or the other. But if you have a guy that comes in as a two-way player, does that give you a little bit more leniency when you go out and recruit guys?
Absolutely. I think for us, like if we had to break down our the 34 man, it would probably be, 18 arms and 16 position players. Anytime that we can get a guy that maybe does a little bit of both, it helps to stretch both sides. Right. And so you might have 16 position players and 18 pitchers, but really it's 17 and 19. So you almost feel like you've got 36 guys. And so now those guys have to be pretty special, and they have to be able to handle the load, and we have to get creative with our scheduling to make sure that they can handle all of those pieces. But yeah, anytime that we can, even just from a depth piece standpoint, right? Like even if it's, hey man, we've got a guy that at the very least could go out there and give us 2 full squads to be able to inter squad in the fall or in the early spring or whatever, that adds value in a lot of different ways. And so, yeah, I mean, do you sell out to those guys? No, I don't think so. But I think like if you can find the right ones, it's a bonus to have, and there's some value added for sure. And just like any organization, we're always looking for guys that add value, whether that's on the staff piece or the player side of things, and making sure that we're doing best for the Block O.
Yeah, we look at it and it says, okay, you got to be careful with the guys you got. You got to go get the guys you want, the guys that fit your program. It also does it on the leadership side. So when you bring in guys, do you guys have like a leadership program you guys set up? Is this kind of player led? Is it coach led? Is it a little hybrid of both?
Yeah, it's probably more of a little bit of a hybrid of both. I think, with our program, there is a lot of player input, right? Like we want their feedback, we want their buy-in, we want their ownership. And I think like to be able to get buy-in from 18 to 22-year-olds, like you have to be willing to like be in the foxhole with them. I'm not here to dictate. I'm not a dictator. It's a meritocracy, man. Like the better you are, the more opportunity you get, and the more say so, and the more sacrifice you give, the more input you get to have, right? And so together with our staff and our strength staff, they put together a really, really good leadership side of things, because the weight room is so important with our program. It's where a lot of bonding, a lot of shared suffering happens, right? Like in a positive way. And so having voices and having feedback of guys and competitiveness of guys in the weight room really trickles over onto the field. And so our strength coaches are intimately involved in that process. And so, yeah, it's good. On the flip side of that is, as Coach Saban has said, and everybody's seen the clip, like, if you want to be great, there's only so many choices that you actually have. There's an illusion of choice, and then there's a real, like, it takes what it takes to be great. And so we may think that we have a lot of choices of different ways to do things and this, that, and the other, but like at the end of the day, there's only a couple of ways that you can really go to be great, and getting our guys to understand that and what that looks like. And then allowing them to like proactively choose those things has been really a really fun progression over the last 2 or 3 months with this group in particular.
Yeah, and we've seen a change in the game, right, Coach, where more and more the weight room and doing those finesse things have really added to college baseball. You see bigger, stronger kids coming into the game that were never there before. I think that adding that in and having these guys be leadership. I know talking to Kaz and talking to Dan, they were talking about the books that they go through and that they're going through their leadership stuff and discussing stuff with the team. But getting guys in the weight room has got to be just probably A1 for building a good program. I mean, I've traveled around the country a lot, seen a lot of teams. Those teams that get in the weight room and work with each other and get bigger in the offseason, I mean, they're the ones that seem to have that most success, right?
I mean, you just turn on the TV at the end of June, and if your team doesn't look like one of those 8 teams playing at the end of June, then I don't know. For me, like, this is just for me. Like, if our team doesn't more closely resemble one of the 8 teams, physically, that are playing at the end of June, then we're probably going on in the wrong direction, right? Like, because I don't know anything in sports in my career playing, coming up as a young kid, youth, to high school, to college, that you didn't want bigger, faster, stronger, more explosive athletes. I don't know any sport right now that you might look at and say, hey, where you're on the field, not riding a horse, not driving a car, on the field. Now, again, like, those guys are unbelievable athletes and they've got to have physical gifts too, but like, physically hand to hand, sports where, man, bigger, faster, stronger doesn't play a role in that. And so, yeah, I mean, that's always going to be a hallmark of our team. And when I told our equipment guy, I said, his name's John Dunn, and he's awesome. I said, John, I said, we need to stop ordering mediums. And he's like, well, Coach, guys, this, that. And I said, John, I said, I'm just telling you, if we're ordering more mediums than we're ordering extra larges, then we're not bringing in the right guys into our program, right? Like, because that's just, you don't see a bunch of guys wearing mediums that are playing, on those teams at the end of June. And so that's no knock against smaller guys. Like, it's just, you turn on the big leagues. Like, the average pitcher in the big leagues right now is like 6'2.5", 215 is like the average size for the average pitcher in the big leagues right now. Like, the fastball velocity in the postseason, average fastball velocity is up 3 miles an hour over the last 8 years. Like, it's a violent game, dressed up as a finesse non-contact sport, but it's not. Like, and so you got to have guys that can withstand that and fill out the shirts.
Yeah, no, I agree, Coach, 100%. I mean, it's really been a big push, like you said, over the last 8 years, and especially over the last 4 years. You've really seen people invest in their weight rooms and having multiple places for these guys to work out and multiple places for these guys to have team meetings and get bigger, stronger. It's what happens. I mean, that's what you have to do to be competitive and get there at the end of the day. Speaking of that, we're now in this point where the guys are kind of have a little bit of their own time. They're gonna get out there, you gotta trust that they're gonna do the right things and get themselves in that shape, being ready to come back January. What's the hardest part as a coach now? You wait between end of fall ball, basically, where you're done with those guys for a little while until you get to February 13th, where we open up.
I think the biggest piece is really trying to finish like these last 3 or 4 weeks of the fall, where we've got some individuals and we kind of transition back to 4 days 4 days a week in the weight room, and try to finish up some team building and some leadership stuff, and some of those pieces. I think is just making sure that, like, in this last little phase of the fall, we do everything that we can to button it up as tight and as foolproof as we possibly can before we send them home here in December. And then just trust that our guys want to be elite. They want to be at the very top of the food chain when they get back, and that want and desire to be great human beings and great at baseball, like, carries them through the month. But we also have to make sure that we do a good job on the communication side on the front end, and that they have every resource that they need when they go home. Here's your weight room plan. This is what it looks like. Here's some variance, right? Because everybody's experience when they go home is different. What does the gym look like? What does their family responsibilities look like? Do some of our guys have to go home and have a job for a month, to be able to come back and play in the spring, right? Like, are guys going on vacation? Are they going out of the, we've got to have some variance, but we got to make sure that they've got a plan, right? And that they understand the plan. They're on board with not just the weight room, but here's your throwing plan. Here's your offensive plan. Here's your defensive plan. So that, hey man, when we get back, the sword hasn't dulled over the last month. The sword is still sharp, and now we can jump right in and hit the ground running for those 5 weeks leading up to opening day. Because again, like, that's our spring training, right? Like, that 5 weeks. Yeah. And now they've changed the rules where we can go right into our 20-hour week when we get back. We can have up to 27 full team practices when we get back before we get to opening day. And so, like, we have to be as ready to rock and roll when we get back as we've ever been. And then we have to use those 30 days or 35 days, like our spring training, to make sure that we're ready to hit the field on February 13th or whatever opening day is this year.
Yeah, 13th. I know it's the rule changes feel like they're starting to go somewhat in direction to helping us in that offseason, like getting back from January. I love to see that we're getting the opportunity to be able to work with these guys and see them getting them ready. I mean, it really is spring training. That's what it is. They have to be ready to go in 5 weeks once they get back from Christmas break. Yep. Coach, what do you do here, as far as looking and say, we've seen some success in the Big Ten. The Big Ten has had some successful baseball teams, whether it's, UCLA making the World Series last year, Oregon, Iowa. Some of these teams have really pushed themselves. Nebraska's been right there on the cusp. How do you guys get into that next level and be that team, that you said 18 seasons, 15 of those were won by Ohio State? How do you push that?
Yeah, I mean, I just think, I think that recruiting and development, right? Like, recruiting and development, it's as age old as it's ever been, but it is as important right now as it's ever been, right? Like, we've got to get the right guys in the room, and then we got to coach the heck out of them, right? Like, those are the two biggest things: recruit right, develop right, build the right culture. And now all of a sudden, that combination of those three things, that mixture, all of a sudden gives you a chance to not only up your talent level on the field, but it allows you to, if you have the right culture and you have the right development and you have the right people, now all of a sudden, not only are you getting better and you're in the mix, like, you're literally stacking the deck and putting yourself in a position for you to what a lot of people would say is overachieve, right? Like, that culture piece of having guys that have an elite level work ethic, that literally care for one another, and that will play with an edge on their shoulder, or an edge and a chip on their shoulder. Like, man, like, then sky's the limit. Like, that's when you start to see some of those special teams. Some teams that we've had in the past were just like that, right? Like, super tough, super edgy, right? Like, I'm not afraid of a little edge. I'm not afraid of a little chip on our shoulder. Like, we've got a lot to prove. And a team that truly cares for one another and loves one another, man, like, sky's the limit, right? And so just continuing, like, don't get distracted by the bells and the whistles and all of that stuff. Like, we've got to recruit well, we've got to develop well, and we've got to address and build and nurture the cultural side of things within our program. And if we are really good at those three things, then the rest of the results start to take care of themselves.
Yeah, I mean, as an outside observer, I've seen the change over the last couple of years, Coach. Of you being there, these guys seem like they all are bought into what's going on. They want to be a part of something great. They know that the ability is there. You guys have the talent. You guys have the structure. I mean, I've been pushing it, saying I think that you guys are right there near the top of this conference this season, and it really comes down to a few little things. Once you get into season, I mean, anything can change a season instantly. Winning a weekend series over a team, going on the road and winning some games. I mean, everything can add up, and it's just the little things that really seem to make that difference. And if you're planned and ready for it, it's not luck; it's execution at that point.
Yeah, that's right. Again, and we our staff was talking about this yesterday, and a couple of different things, fall different ways, or you get a big hit in a certain situation. I think the biggest thing for us is like there's going to be adversity, right? Like change is going to bring a heavy adversity and just all on its own, right? And so like new staff, new players, new whatever, like there's going to be change, there's going to be adversity, like we're going to encounter something. The game of baseball is full of failure and loss and challenge and all that. So like we can't run away from that. Like it's how we're going to respond to that, right? Like when we punch through, when we get through that adversity, then it starts to get scary, right? Like we've had teams in the past that have started, 3-10 and 1-7 and whatever, and have gone on to win championships and be 3 wins away from Omaha and all of those things, because our guys' response was not panic. It was regroup, reload, and move forward. And the more that we can do that, the better we'll be as we get through the season. And I think that we've got the right guys in the room to be able to handle that and be able to weather some of those storms that come inevitably every single year. And so just doing a good job on our side from a messaging standpoint and a preparation standpoint to make sure that they know, hey man, like it's going to rain, right? Like it's going to rain, and we've got an umbrella and we've got a great plan to be able to respond to those rainy days and challenging days and adverse days and moments when they strike in the season.
Yeah, things going to happen, but if you come together and push through it, man, you come out on the other side looking a lot better and being ready to go.
Sky's the limit.
Coach, anything else you want to share with Buckeye fans before we get out of this today? I know we're like 70 days out probably. We're getting there. We're getting there, and it's the hardest part, but we're getting there.
Yeah, I just think the biggest thing for us, man, and every opportunity that I have, every opportunity that I have to speak to people and talk in public, whether that's to our alumni or fans or booster groups or whatever it is just to make sure that people know, like, hey man, like our staff understands, I think, what it means to put on the Scarlet and Gray and the Block O. And every morning we wake up and every night we go to bed thinking about working towards and having a vision and a roadmap for how to get this place back to the top. And that's our intention. That's our goal. And that's what we work so hard for every single day is to see Ohio State back in Omaha. Right. And we've got a roadmap. We've got a vision for where that needs to be. And we're taking steps every day to get there. And, we just want, Buckeye Nation to know that like there is nothing that we work harder for than to make them proud to put on the Block O and the Scarlet and Gray every single day. And we work our tails off every day to do it. And I think, we're going to see a lot of really good things coming out of this spring with the group of guys that we have.
Can't wait for the 26th season, Coach. I think it's going to be tremendous. Folks, go out and catch your Ohio State baseball. It's going to be tremendous this year. I really do think that the Big Ten takes big strides forward. I think Ohio State's going to be right there near the top. Coach, thanks for joining us again, and I'm sure we'll catch up here in the spring.
See you, man.